Hi everyone, this is Otito
And Stanley.
from the Grey Couch. And this week we're coming to you a continuation of what we did last week, right? Last week we said we we're going to talk about beads and how that can help us either, enhance or revive relationships. And so the first question will be, what is a bead? And because we like acronyms in this house, we're saying a bead or beads are how you build intimacy deposits securely, right?
I
But
like
Stan,
that.
tell us what you think about beads. Like what would you call a bead? One.
So a bid is an approach. A bridge is how you reach out either vocally, physically for some of us, or with a gesture towards your significant other, in trying to just show that you care. Um,
Mm.
that would be one way of looking at it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But the way that I see it, right, because I sometimes like to use the examples, I think it drives home the point more. So, let's say you are trying to, so let's look at the absence of a bid or where a bid goes ignored and what can happen, right? So let's say I have exciting news. First time I come to Stan, right? And I say, hey, I have this news, and he's on his phone, right? And every one of us these days is on our phone, God help us. And the person is like looking at their phone and you're talking and they're like, yeah, okay, And sometimes they'll say, what did you say again? Right. So you can tell that they're not listening. And we've said on this couch before that it's your responsibility, if you're the one initiating communication, to make sure that you're being heard, right? So my general thing would be say, hey, are you listening? Hey, listen, I'm telling you something important. Okay, yeah, listen, right? I'm trying to get his attention because I know he's not listening. Right now, this is not me coming at a bad time, because there are sometimes when it's a very bad time to come to somebody. So let's not forget that. But let's say, this continues and I keep doing this and I keep doing this. You can imagine that after some time, because of human nature, right? This has nothing to do with me despising or anything. I'm just like, you know what? It's not even worth my time. Like, I will keep my news, take it to my girlfriends, right? Do something else apart from he be the first person that I bring that to, right? And so you can see how over time, right? When he now stops being the first person that I'm giving my best news to, I'm giving great news to, I'm giving things. And then it just goes on like that.
and then the drift starts, right?
Yes. And then one day you may hear about that news and you say, how
Why
come
didn't
you didn't
you?
tell me, about this? And then again, because we are humans, I would say, when I'm always talking to you and you're not paying attention, right? And then the person is like, how can you say I'm not paying attention to you now? Like, then you have conflicts. See? So you can see how very easy it is to get into that rut, right? Of just a gap being drawn in communication. Okay.
Ah,
So that's how a lack of beats can lead to just, I don't know what I say, diffusion in communication, but the communication is no more as vibrant or as intimate as it should be. Okay.
and as a guy, I want to give a different type of beat that might go unnoticed. Because with this thing, it's much more important if a bid is if I don't want to call it a false bid, but if somebody makes a bid at you and it's not
Mm.
really a bid and you catch it, that's even better than somebody tries to, and by somebody I mean your spouse, tries to make a bid for you and it feels as though they're rejected or not or not noticed for their bid. So say as a guy, I am either sending finances or I'm paying things, I'm taking care of the bills or I'm doing something on the side, right? Um, from my perspective, I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing this build so that we are in the green, so that things are taken care of. Somebody doesn't have to worry about that. That can be a bid from the guy side to say, listen, I care about us as a family so much that I do not want there to be any issues with our finances. But then spouse might not even recognize,
Mm-hmm.
oh, sure, hey, what's the big deal? You're paying the bills. You're supposed to pay the bills, that kind of um brushing aside.
Uh-huh.
No, no, you gave your own bid for the lady.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to represent my bros and give my own bid for the guys.
Okay, what about the bid for sex?
Ah,
It's
bros.
if you call that a bid.
Ah,
Let's even come back to that, right? Because would you call it a bid, or would you call it something that the
a
woman
right.
now says, because I'm annoyed, I'm not going to attend to you. Like, I know you're making all the moves and everything, and I'm just ignoring. So that's one huge part where bids can be being made, but because women are just like, oh, you ignored my emotions, you did this, you did that, and so they will ignore your own bid, right? So you can see how this becomes a crossfire kind of situation. However, there's the part where the person does something wrong, right? Or rather, they did something to upset the other person, and now they are actively trying to like reconcile
And
without
repair.
words, right?
Yep, repair without.
Reconcile without words.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where the R word comes in. You're trying to reconcile, repair the relationship, and sometimes without words, right? So this is where ladies, have you ever seen a situation where you come back and the house is all clean, right? Sometimes it's not him, but they will hire somebody and they will come and clean the house, put everything in order. That's a huge bid, right? That's a big, big bid. And so, in that kind of situation is now, what's your response? What will be your reaction to that, right? But that's big. In terms of beads, though, they're like those tiny, tiny, tiny,
Yep.
tiny, tiny things added up over time. That's why we talk about it as deposits. You're just adding and adding and adding. And it's different for different people,
Yep.
right? Somebody may not necessarily care about a clean house. They will enter and they will look at the house and just walk past you. And then you did the bid, you're like, they didn't even notice that I helped them, clean up this house, something like that. Right. So
Or somebody doesn't want to go and visit the in-laws and just out of this thing, like, okay, I'll rather stay at home and watch the game, but you're
uh,
sure I want to, let's go along. Let me just
yeah,
make this
yeah,
deposit, this secure
yeah.
deposit, because I know you like me to show up, Uh-huh.
Or they say, let's go visit, right? So if someone who doesn't like going to visits now brings up, hey, let's go, see your people, that's a bit, right? So essentially, if people do things that are just in terms of conflict, if they do things that are not in their, I don't want to say nature, but
Yeah.
something they don't normally do. If they start to do it actively, know that that's a bid. Now, that could be different for different people, right? We
Yeah.
had guests on here a few weeks back that said, that the wife's love language was acts of service, right? So you can imagine how these bids can actually also become multiplication of acts of service, right? So
Mhm.
let's say you used to, buy 1 gallon of milk, for instance, and then there's conflict, and then you buy 2 or you buy 3, right? I mean, I'm using milk as an allegory for many things. So, but let's say you did that, you went the extra step. That's a huge bid, right? And so this is where we say that it's our responsibility to recognize the bid and turn towards it and accept it and say, hey, I saw what you did and I thank you, right? Now, last time we talked about how sometimes you may be too angry to try to say, let me have the conversation, which is where you can turn to text, right? So you can text the person and say, hey, babe, I saw what you did. Thank you, right? And so that person knows, okay, at least the barrier of, silence and annoyance has been broken, right? And then can now build it from there. But what what doesn't work is ignoring the bid, which is a form of silent treatment, right? When we say that silent treatment, stonewalling, right, is like the worst thing ever. So ignoring a bid, you can see how very painful it will be, because the other person is going out of their way, honestly, in many cases with the bids. They're going out of their way to do
Out of their
something.
comfort zone, out of their safe
Yes.
space
Yes.
to try and
Now,
reach you. Yeah.
now somebody may say, why doesn't the person say sorry? Why don't they just say sorry? Right? In
Uh,
terms of repair and reconciliation part, why don't they say sorry?
I have a thought for that, and that thought is that actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I
That's my,
agree with you.
that's my
I
thought
feel
for that.
like,
You know,
yeah, I know,
especially
I agree with you. I agree
especially
with you.
since sorry is really very easy. And if you've been in this relationship for a while,
Yeah,
you know the
yeah,
person that have heard sorry, sorry, sorry. So you know what? Let me skip that and show you that I'm sorry with actions, you know.
yeah,
But then
yeah.
in cloud and the hula balua, it might all be lost in translation. But I
Mm.
mean, if actions speak louder than words, that is my response to not just coming out to say sorry, because chances are you've said sorry a couple
Yeah.
of times.
I agree with you, because I feel like, sometimes you have to go beyond sorry, right? And that's what those bids are. It's essentially saying, hey, I messed up, right? Hey, I didn't do right by this situation, by you, by anything, and I want to fix it. So the other person is trying to fix it. And here's the thing, which is why we cannot even come here and say this is, the exact way you need to do bidding, because each relationship is different. The person is going to bid in how they know, how they've interpreted your love language, or they've interpreted the thing that you do, or they've interpreted the situation in the house, right? So it's almost like a surprise party, right? Now, some people may not like surprises at all, but you're not going to walk out of a surprise party because you don't like it, right? You're going to say, okay, that was a surprise. Thank you, right? In as much as you may be feeling like, why are you making me a surprise party? I don't like surprise parties, that kind of thing. So yeah.
I think another way to even look at this thing is being civil, being, how, let's say you're at the office and somebody new comes along the way, and you've upset this person, or you don't know how the person likes to operate, and you're just trying to make it like, okay, I know this person, I just found out that this person likes XYZ, and then you try. The person might not necessarily like that in that way, but that's what you've seen, that's what you've observed, and then you reach out. I'm just trying to say that a lot of times we don't treat the person closest to us as spouse as with as much respect as we treat the people that we're trying to make a good impression of at work and elsewhere. Because
Mhm.
I don't know whether you've gotten used to the person, or you're like, oh, they'll get over it, or that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like it's like
yeah,
looking with fresh
yeah.
eyes. If this was a new acquaintance and I'm trying to make an impression, what would my response be?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the other thing that I want to talk about, I guess, because you can be very academic and you're just like talking. What, in your case, what is a bid that you've made, or what are the ways that you make the bids, right? Because I it's funny, because sometimes, right, what can sometimes happen is, if you know that spouse very well, right, and the bid is them doing something. This is not a secret. This is not, don't try this at home, as the advertisements say. But so let's say, let's say your spouse, right? Let's say maybe they don't like doing laundry or dishes or whatever. Let's just take one of those mundane, you know, tasks in the house that is like, I mean, everybody's kind of one saying, I wish I didn't have to, I wish I didn't have to. So now let's say the person now does something, and now they go start, doing the laundry. Like, they'll take out the laundry, do it, iron it. Don't continue to now be annoyed so that they can continue to do the laundry. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I see, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, don't ignore the need so that you get some What's the
Mileage.
word I'm looking for? Oh,
Give more mileage.
mileage.
That's just
So that you get more mileage, right? Because these are the things you do with siblings. Don't do it with spouse, so I beg you. So yeah, that's what I meant. I don't try this at home.
true talk.
Because it backfire. Yeah.
True talk. Okay, so you put me on the spot, right? Right on the couch. So the two beads on my part that come to bear, that come to mind, I should say. One of them is taking the and guys, don't judge me for this. I don't like washing car. That's just and I know for a guy, automobile, this thing, I don't like it. So normally my own bit was that I will take her car to the car wash. Let them do it inside and outside, especially after the children have finished eating inside the car and they've all messed the place up. She take it. I mean, I have keys to both, have spare key of the car. Just sneak it out. Shall wash the thing and then put it back. Someone enters and this car is clean. So again, that's one. And I mean, the second one that comes to mind is, and again, don't judge, helping kids with homework. Man, I don't like that thing. So, but as per there's a teacher in the house, and so homework and this is important to them. So I'm like, okay, and the kids obviously, but I'm like, okay, as a bit, you're at work, let me share. Okay, guys, bring out your homework. Let me see what do you have homework? Let's do it. And then not just doing homework, but going to see if they got the answers correct. I think is that going back that even pains me more, because it's like not only have you spent time with them, you now have to go back and see if they got the correct answers. And then upon all that, the children will tell you, and daddy, that's not how mommy does it too. No, daddy, mommy didn't teach me like that. And I'm like, if I just wound you now, you don't know I'm doing something, you're trying to get you to do your homework.
Okay. Let me talk about the other parts. I think you have forgotten this, but let me also give the caveat of don't try this just randomly. Mr. Stanley comes, collects my car, goes to wash it, and parks it in a different place. It was a fraction of a minute remaining for me to call police that the car had been stolen. Lord Jesus. So if you know you're taking somebody's car, X marks the spot where the car was parked to, so that you can come and pack it back where you found it. But if you live in an urban area, you know that cannot happen. So yeah, explain yourself.
In my defense, the spot was taken when I got back. In my defense. And let me just leave that matter. The rest of this we'll take care of after the couch. We have to deal with this behind the couch.
But here's the thing now, to tell you that you're calling the person like, I can't find my car. It's like they stole my car. And the person is laughing and you're like, hello. Obviously. Then you turn around and you see the car all the way on the other side gleaming.
Are you sure you left it in the right place? Just check around.
You know, no, but remember I said, I'm going to call campus police. Like I was ready. Then I now saw the car gleaming somewhere. I'm like, okay, gotcha. So whatever the thing was for the bid had been forgotten now, because when the car is stolen, you are not going to be saying you are annoyed. You're going to call that spouse to say they have stolen the car. But either way, right? So I think the thing is to be able to recognize when your spouse is making a bid and don't say, this is not what I want. This is not what I'm looking for. This is not this is not that, right? Accept it in spirit of where it's coming from.
Recognize, accept, and acknowledge, because for me, that goes a long way. When I hear that, and ladies, for the guys, we like to win. So that's a check mark. Okay, this one, unless you don't want that bit to happen, recognize, accept, and acknowledge is a check mark for us guys.
Yeah.
So tell us
Yep.
Yep, that was my next point too. What are your successful bids and some of the not so successful bids? Because it's all learning. It's all learning for the next one.
Oh my God. Oh, don't let them steal your cow.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's it. I mean, but recognize that whether you're building or you're preparing and reconciling, right? If you're building, even better, because all those small deposits over time, amount to a lot, right? There are people who say, oh, it's my husband that shops for me, it's my husband that does this, my husband that does that. Those are all beads, right? Those are them building the love bank. Now, if there's a problem and they're trying to repair, you need to remember all the beads that they've done ahead of time, right? That they've done in the past, so to speak. Don't forget those. Don't just discard them. And then when they're now attempting to actively reconcile, you have to just like lean into it, as they say. Yeah.
So that's what we have for you for this week. Don't forget
Yes.
to send those comments, those emails. We're enjoying them. And hopefully there's a bid in your future soon. From us to you, a good one. Yeah. From us to you, it's bye for now.
Bye. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the couch next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.